The butterfly dream. Do you know the story of the butterfly dream? One day, a man dreamed he was a butterfly fluttering through the air. The dream in itself didn't have any particularly deep meaning, but when he woke up, the man thought, I wonder. Just now, did I wake up from a dream where I was a butterfly? Or am I not I, but the butterfly now dreaming of me? Isn't that just a fascinating thought? This is not just about butterflies. What's important here is who the man is now. The basis, if there is any, with which he could confidently define himself. Those who see these strange displays, these dreams, when the selves in their dreams may not be their own selves, but those of their ideal world, will they be able to pass it off as a mere dream once they see it? Perhaps the sheer weight of such a display would overload their perception entirely, and they would lose sight of the thin line between dream and reality. Maybe that would be what awaits those who think this way. But I digress. That's a bad habit of mine, I'm afraid. How about I say what I'm trying to say without going off on tangents? In short, though it was ever so brief, what has unfolded here is precisely this sort of dream. Because, in the world of such a dream, the flow of time differs from our world at the most basic level. I do not know whether anything said world contains is reality or imagination, but whether this world is a different realm, where you fluttered around as a butterfly, or your very same reality, which you want to believe was merely a dream ultimately. I'm convinced that's not a matter of your environment, but of your self-perception. The worlds he's seen have, time and time again, each shown to him their many unique characteristics. He has been charged with the duty of choosing, from all these worlds laid out before him, a single reality on which to embark. Then what of the worlds he did not grasp? This unanswered question, too, is a blessing that I am fortunate to ponder over. At any rate, what will he finally decide? Will he affirm his dreams or deny them? Will the world he finally embarks upon be one of dream or reality? It's truly regrettable that I will not be there to see him choose. Honestly, such a mistake is unlike me. Since deleting a work places a burden on the site, only the text has vanished. Just like a dream. Lust if. The butterfly dream Petra part, it had become habitual for Subaru to wake up and see the bright early morning sun every day. Hey, it's morning already. Wake up, Master Subaru. Although he prided himself on waking up quickly, he never quite gets up immediately. Let's go, it's not good if you don't wake up, come on, Wakeup. Shut up, MGHG? As he rolls over in bed, a voice that pays no mind to the circumstance yells right in Subaru's ear. Subaru shouts at the voice and mutes it as a form of retaliation. As he raised his voice like a frog, the voice of the employee climbed atop the bed next to Subaru. Since it was already winter, it was a frigid morning. That's why, as she entered, her warmth extended towards Subaru. Ah, my consciousness is returning. With this beauty besides me, even submerging myself in my peaceful dream is something pleasant. Don't you think so? MGH. Fine this. Not exactly. Just a moment ago his voice was vigorous, but upon saying those sweet words, his voice became tender. But they were enjoying each other's company for far too long, and Subaru was a busy person. Subaru became sweet in that moment and examined the youthful expression on the girl's face. In that instant, she looked so adorable. Any way he framed it, he was greedily indulging in her presence. All right, you're a good girl. So why are you flirting with me in the morning? For the record, the breakfast today is being prepared by the Duchess. You'll probably be upset. No. I was. Forgetting what was said, Subaru's energy started to fall. He began to submerge himself back to sleep. It soon became a mini-emergency. It was inevitable. Subaru, who was in bed with one arm, hugged the girl with all his strength, and with the other threw the sheets off vigorously. No, can't be. You're getting up. Damn it, today's such a good day to While the bed springs squeak, Subaru began to do his stretches. Stretching his arms on the bed, he saw that the girl was still in bed. Oi, making such a perverse and messy pose like that is impactful. I always say a girl shouldn't be doing such vulgar things. Petra. It's all right. I only bring down my guard around you, Master Subaru. Sticking her tongue out whilst giving a charming smile, the maid posed as if she were a mature woman. Petra Leti said irritating things. She then extended her hand for Subaru to help her up. Shall we go to the dining room? All right, this is a good moment to call everyone. Yes. Let's go, Master Subaru, said Petra as she smiled and agreed. He grabbed her hand and helped her off the bed. Subaru and Petra, who grabbed each other's hands, were now in the hallway, walking together on the red carpet that covered the floor of Royal Castle of the Kingdom of Lugunica. Crush part, you're slow. Subaru, who was entering the dining room, became aware of the presence of a voice, which was notably in a bad mood. Subaru tried to mask the fear in his voice as a chill ran down his spine. Understanding her intentions, he forced a smile and waved his hands to diffuse the situation. Sorry, there's nothing bothering me. It's just hard getting up in the morning. Don't say such flimsy lies. Don't forget that I can figure out your true intentions and attitude. In any case, this morning you had a secret reunion with the maid. Correct. Subaru masterfully diverted his gaze and whistled. In fact, it was a reality that he was flirting with Petra. No matter who awoke him in the morning, there was surely flirting. In any case, it was set in stone that you, my lord, would neglect our meeting. I believe it to be inevitable to be treated in such a manner. No, there is no intention like that. It's an unnecessary consolation. I understand. I am a woman of an adorable nature. Unlike the other women around you, I am not aggressive, save when it comes to brandishing the blade. I don't know much about makeup or how to dress properly. It's natural that I cannot satisfy you. It wasn't normal for her to say such hurtful words to herself. She was acting this way because the emotions she had been storing inside finally began flooding out. The floodgates were broken, and it all came pouring out. This was unnecessary, as all the dissatisfaction was revealed in her face. That's why Subaru's innocence wasn't noticed until this moment. What is your intention? If you can read my mind, can't you tell what intentions I have? Stop fooling around. While she held her arms, she gazed at Subaru and made a timid expression. After all, I can only see the direction of the wind. Your superficial subtly leaves me fascinated, even if I can't look into your interior. Therefore, the actions of my lord I cannot know unless my lord tells me. Even so, I would be embarrassed to say it out loud. So your intentions are embarrassing. I couldn't tell. A bitter smile began to appear as he held her in his arms. Upon accidentally looking at her, their gazes met and soon entangled. On both of their faces, which were both in close proximity, they hugged one another. The distance between them was so close that in each breath they took could intertwine at any moment. Subaru became more eloquent in his words, and the way in which he answered her questions. The heat of their breaths was burning. He puckered his lips as if asking for a kiss, and so it was. He knew his ears were getting hot. With their lips meeting one another, a timid sensation extended upon their tongues. After they put their lips one against the other, they separated. Their breaths were both slightly ragged. Her eyes were teary, the act of which made Subaru's thoughts steamy, as the woman who was normally brisk and strict was showing a different side of hers. Being the only person who had seen that face, it made his heart feel warm all over. She then stretched out her arms, intending to hug him. That'll be it for this morning. But the passion in the eyes of the girl was gone in the blink of an eye, and her arms quickly receded. Having lost the possibility of a sensual embrace, Subaru opened and closed his fingers, not wanting to let her go. So then, seeing the clear discontent of her companion, she gave him a cold smile. If you can't stop, it would interfere with the many plans of today. Not to mention the way in which you hold me is not good for me, so let's leave it here. By the way, do you think I forget to drown myself in your beauty? I believe I told you. I am not an attractive woman. However, there is something attractive about the thought of spending the day with you. Don't you think showing off your feminine side is important? He extended his hand at the last moment, and it was softly struck down. As he waved his hand that had been hit, Subaru happily turned his head around and looked back. All right, let's eat. This morning I raised my arms far too much. I will serve you the meal. I am particularly confident this morning, probably because of what just happened and the way in which I said many sweet words. You're acting in a way that's not typical of yourself. As he let his shoulders droop, the smell of breakfast made Subaru's stomach cry out. She extended out her arms. She did so with pride. I know I am a busy person, but if even for a moment I want time to stop, and for us to monopolize this table. Forgive my selfishness, my dear husband. Yes, that is selfish, and I will tell you that I find it adorable, wife of mine. Crush goes to sit beside Subaru at the grand banquet table as is custom. Upon turning around to see Subaru, she saw as he began to attack the feast that was atop the table. When Subaru took the first bite, he let out a "it's delicious," which had become a habit for him. She felt a level of anxiety deep within her somber eyes. She felt as if he was being deceitful, and while she thought those thoughts, Subaru used his fork to continue stuffing his face. It was truly delicious. Rampart Subaru struggled with the mountain of official papers concerning public business that were stacked on his desk. Even if I do this, there's no sign that it will ever end. This is like a scene out of manga or anime, yet here it is occurring in reality. Do it while you whine, Barusu. You can't rest until you finish, then you can return to work. You're stupid. You actually understand my dilemma. One mountain of papers was nearly finished. However, there were now 4 more separate mountains, and to have only one finished was disheartening. When the 4 other stacks were added, Subaru trusted in his pen and continued to work. Do you still think that arrogant way of speaking to me is all right? You know very well how much power I have in this country. I'll let you know from my point of view you're a simple kohai, underling, and my relationship with you is one I have with a person of a lower rank, understood? That way of thinking makes Barusu forget that he needs other people's help to remain competent. Ram will now abandon Barusu and leave this room. Who will help you sign this mountain of official papers? Now try and convince me of your position again. Forgive me, sister. Please, pretty please, don't go. Help me. Immediately after Subaru had said such powerful words, he left his seat and threw away his pride. Upon seeing that, the maid with pink hair let out a "ha." It doesn't matter what position you have, mine doesn't change. You're short-sighted, this conversation bores me. Improve your persuasion skills. Your generosity is really low, big sis. I mean, what a sight, wouldn't it be bad if others saw it? I can't maintain the respect of a maid, in which case it can turn into a scandal, and an article would be written on the newspapers. It would become a stain on my reign. Ram is above and Barusu below. Reality can't be changed. There will be no conversation about this. You're horrible, sister. While Subaru raised his voice, Rem released a sigh of disgust. While Subaru raised his voice, Rem released an annoyed sigh. She then brought a chair to Subaru's desk and a pen. Ram will only do what Ram can, respond verbally. Translation is iffy here. Hooray! You always save me. You're always serious about the affairs of the country. Show your gratitude with your actions. How? Exactly. Isn't it polite to say it like that? That too will become a scandal if seen by others. In any case, Subaru kept chattering when he stopped moving his hand. Ram's speed while working on the documents was truly not normal. A quick glance at her let him know that at Roswell's mansion she had handled much of the paperwork, despite the fact that the papers were done in Roswell's name. He was surprised as he had never seen such a scene. So you weren't just sitting around on Roswell's chair. I have a feeling I am being demeaned. No way, I admire you. You can't judge a person's behavior by their appearance or attitude. On the contrary, I am approving petitions of political extremist organizations. Cut IT out. After unexpectedly revealing what she was doing, Ram continued violently attacking the pile at her own discretion. Subaru didn't bother reprimanding her for what she said. Despite all the things she said, Subaru refused to correct her since he had utter confidence in her. He accidentally gazed at Ram's profile. As always, there was a tense expression in it. She seemed very gentle and had a young appearance to her that she had not lost. If she smiled, she would be as sweet as a flower. However, sometimes that flower bloomed only once a year and so briefly that you could easily miss it. Your hand still isn't moving, Barusu. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at you, Ram. Kai, did you smack your lips? If that had been Rem, she would have smiled and she'd have looked lovely. I think you should stop comparing Rem and Ram. I will hurt you. WHY? I ask myself why. She glanced sideways with cold eyes. Subaru felt that something was piercing into him coldly. That doesn't mean that there was a bad intention. It would just be troublesome if her nerves got hot. He gave more priority to the Ram than Rem, because the words of Ram stung far more. I'm not comparing, but I saw the truth of Ram. You are very beautiful, and you don't recognize the effects of your mannerisms and words. If I become more aware, look around and observe, if I learn more about my personality, I will be even cuter. I shall tell Lady Amelia, I'm not flirting with you, don't tell her. Subaru's self-esteem was as low as ever. However, in that place, he allowed his true intentions to show. He had no intention of trying to act adorable by hiding his bashfulness. This entire paragraph could mean that Ram showed her cute side, not confident in the translation. The expression in your eyes seems very warm, Barusu. I see. That's not too bad. Ram erased the expression on her face. He returned to the documents to prevent further pestering her. Distracting himself was fine, but he had to finish the task at hand. Work is work. He could play after finishing. I want you to stop comparing Rem and Ram in that way. It feels as if Barusu looks at Ram in the way he looks at Rem. Subaru, who was absorbed in the workload, looked at her facial expression. He had not noticed that she was truly pissed. Only the sound of the pen scraping against the white paper could be heard, flowing as if dancing inside the office. Rem part Rem. Subaru, what happened to your left eye? Subaru. I received a hot kiss from Felt's fist in the eye, which she did to hide her embarrassment. She had a cute side. I got carried away with myself this time. Rem, geez, please be careful. Subaru's body isn't another person's possession, after all. The evening passes. Rem faces towards Subaru with a smile, who came visiting the room, and she says those words like that. Subaru shrugs at that girl's smile and moves towards Rem's side. He stands up and waves at the girl to sit down, who tried to give up her spot. Subaru, you be careful too. Hypothetically, it certainly is true that my body isn't someone's possession, but realistically, you're the one that should be careful. Rem, sorry. I should really be helping Subaru in these busy times too. Subaru, don't make the wrong assumptions. For now, it's okay for you to rest and come see me with the greatest smile like that. That is your greatest power. Because at any rate, Subaru kneels before Rem, who is sitting in a chair, while saying these words. He faces towards her and reaches out with his hand. What those fingers reached were her stomach, and he understood that this sensitive girl's stomach, Rem, was now bigger. She was pregnant with another being. Subaru, our child is right in here. Just how much of it is my energy, I wonder. Rem, I'm happy supporting you emotionally, but I want to support you physically too, Subaru. I might be frustrated about having that role taken from Petra. Rem sticks out her small tongue, the girl who walks around but tries to cover up her troubling frustration. As of now, the maid work was transferred to Petra, who succeeded her as a maid that could do roughly anything. And Rem spent most of the day taking care of the child in her stomach. In particular, what took up most of Rem's time lately was Subaru. Looks like you made quite a lot of socks, huh? Rem, I thought I was bad at knitting at first, but while I was making them, it got more and more fun. I thought about the child getting bigger, then they got a bit bigger and bigger. First, it'd be about the size of my thumb, my fist, my palm, an appa, then a melon. Subaru, what have we done through our sex to make it necessary to have Titan-sized socks? Rem, I was just thinking about it getting bigger quickly and wanted it to grow up carefree. Subaru, there's a possibility that it will grow bigger than the biggest old man I know, so I don't like this. He had confidence that he'd love the child no matter how it came out, but there was no confidence that went above that level. Rem smiles with a just kidding in response to Subaru's retort and says, well, I did realize that it was too big midway, no matter how I looked at it. Now I sewed them and made them smaller. They're all things for children, so I also made some for Subaru too. Subaru, oh, you made some for me too. That sure makes me happy. Good, this is work done courteously by Rem filled with love. I'll always keep them with me. Rem, yes, there are mittens, socks, belly bands, loincloth, a scarf, a hat, underwear, undergarments, a coat, footwear, and greaves. Subaru, is there knitting wool left for the kids' clothes? They were various knitting works presented one by one. If he wore all of this and tackled his duties, he'd probably become groggy from the heat in 10 minutes. Leaving a skillful person be with steady preferences would result in something like this. Subaru, it would be tough to wear all of this and do work. Can I wear them in rotation? Rem, don't worry. I'm satisfied just by having you accept my gifts, Subaru. Just from that, the time I spent knitting pays off. Subaru. Rem. So what you do with what you received is entirely up to you, Subaru. Even if you put them inside the closet and they get covered in dust. Even if you use them to wipe off milk when you spill it carelessly. Even if you use them as cushion for a chair you sought to sit on when you thought to take a break. I won't mind it at all. Subaru. I'll use each and every one every day. You don't have to imagine such pitiful things. He puts on all the knitted material and says, like this, as he shows them off. Rem claps, appearing to be deeply moved at Subaru's enthusiastic, gallant figure. Rem, Luke, your father is this nice of a person. You want to show your energetic figure soon, huh, Subaru? I wonder if it saw me like this right now, would it know who I am when I'm not wearing these? Daddy is a little worried about that. Rem, don't worry, it's my child, so it'll love Subaru. So no matter what Subaru looks like, it'll know who you are immediately. Subaru, but it's half my child too. I'm worried about its recessive genes on that front. Rem, Subaru is always lovely. So if it turns out like Subaru, then this child will definitely be a lovely one. Rem speaks in her usual manner at Subaru, who pouts with his lips while rubbing her stomach. Rem's overvaluing of Subaru did not change at all. Not a single bit. That's why it was necessary for him to always try his best to overvalue her greatly to correspond with it, so that hers didn't pile up. Therefore, the power she gave him truly was an amazing amount. Rem, say, Subaru, do you prefer a boy or a girl? Subaru, hard to say. Either way, if it turns out like Rem, then I think it'd be cute or handsome. But if turns out like me, then it'll inherit these eyes, so I'd feel bad if it was a girl. Furthermore, it seemed like Subaru's mom, who had eyes just like him, had rough times with her childhood, since she always looked displeased with her eyes. The female classmates who were frightened just from walking the road brought her candy, so she was kind of always stuffed. The person who lived life without being aware of her eyes' demerit was Subaru's mother. It wasn't hard to make a guess for his daughter that hadn't even been born, yet that she'd be like that mother. Subaru. There's not a fragment of heredity left for the bad of my family lineage eyes. My grandfather from my mother's side and the grandfather before that seemed to have bad eyes. So there's probably a high possibility that it'll inherit it. Rem. Then would you prefer it to be a boy? Subaru. Well, back at my hometown, they do say it's good to have a girl first, then a boy. I feel like it would be easy to raise them if it was first a girl, then a boy. Rem, geez. I don't know which one you prefer when you put it like that. Rem pouts with her face, as if she got angry in response to Subaru, having his conclusions go all over the place. He pokes that face with his finger, and after removing that atmosphere, Subaru smiles at her and says, Subaru. So, either way is fine. Actually, I don't think that's quite right. I mean that whichever comes, I'll love it and it'll feel my love. Rem. Subaru. If it's a girl, well then I'll treasure her and love her so much, and I'll spoil her oh so much when raising her, and she'll love me. My goal is to have her say, I want to be Daddy's wife for the future. Until she's in middle school, about around there. Being treated with love by one's daughter is a complete win for a father of this society, although I'm already a complete winner for having a wife that's too cute. Rem blushes at those compliments that came out as if it was a stream. While gazing at Rem's blushed face with love, Subaru raises his finger and says, Subaru. Then, if a boy is born, I'll pass down my father's tradition, and I'll be the biggest obstacle to him, the greatest rival, and the greatest partner in crime. We'll bump into each other constantly and relentlessly, and I'll be a lion that pushes him over and over towards the abysmal valley. Ah, I'm looking forward to it. He says thus, and continues to speak Subaru. Rem, don't worry that much. Simply think about giving a healthy baby. It'll be all right, be super relaxed. You, who I love so much, will give a super lovable baby. There's no way I won't love it to an extreme extent, you know. Rem. Yes, that's right. While looking at Subaru's exaggerating actions, Rem makes a happy smile with her lips. Subaru looks at that smile, and it causes him to feel an unavoidable sense of itch, and he couldn't handle it, so he says, Subaru. Rem. Just from him calling her name and bringing his face closer to hers, Rem also could guess what he was asking for. Like that, Subaru brings his face close to Rem, who closes her eyes, and then his lips meet hers. It was a soft feeling, and somewhere along the line, her tongue nervously reaches out. While entangling their love, Subaru held her tight the whole time.